For me, we really began this unit, breaking right into it, and with force, might I say, on January 28th, also known as my birthday, with a very extensive excursion to Northfield. I remember trudging to the old campus and pushing through the doors to the C building, and then to the big room I used to have Student Alliance in as a freshman. There is two ladies in there, a black one and a brown one wearing a scarf. And let me tell you, I was not happy. It was my 18th birthday, and I thought, here we go again. I wasn't in the mood at all for another lecture or politically correct speech about racism in America. Eggs frustrates me sometimes because it is so freaking liberal. I was being selfish as the woman with the Tibetan bowl tried to tell us to let the thoughts we came in with drift away. Well, lady, I thought, I don't want to stop thinking about my birthday. I just want to leave here and get away from you and your stupid bowl. Looking back now, I am embarrassed to have thought the things I did. I talked with junior egg science teacher Josie.
Yeah.
On January 28th, I met Leah for the first time at the race retreat day for eggs. And I thought to myself, what is this girl's deal? She's angry already, and it's not even 9 o'clock. There was conflict. She had her dukes up. She was ready to talk and to argue and to bring it.
Like, I was like, why do we all have to be so, like, politically correct? Like, do you remember? And I kept saying, like, really inappropriate things.
Right.
It was so, like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. Why is this even important?
Right.
Yeah.
Why is this even important?
And I was like, I like actually said that. I think I was like, yeah, I was really frustrated.
Yeah, well, and there was another student at the table talking about racism and race as the color of your skin, and you were kind of like, what? It's the color of the skin? What?
I completely learned that day. I thought that, like, me being, like, Jewish had something to do with it, but that has nothing to do with race. And I learned that day with that
There you go.
column you had to fill out because of your color, like, has these things happened to you? And of course, none of them have because I'm very pale. So.
Right on. Color line.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
She's right. I did fight for what I believed in till the very end of disbelief, and finally, I saw the light, I guess. And Eggs Peer and I were arguing over reverse racism. Henry Ewing talks with me, and basically, now I know that because white is the dominant race, that the vocabulary doesn't call for anyone to be racist towards a white person. Within that one seminar alone, I did a complete 180. I started as an honest-to-God racist. I was a racist, and I used false information to back myself in my prejudice. I was uneducated and downright wrong in the things I used to say. Being the racist I was before and everything, I am now a totally changed person. I want others to change with me. I remember having conversations with others, and we would totally work off of each other's vibes, speaking false truths about racism and other races. These people who I used to converse with on my opinions of race are still stuck in the wrong path. I have exceeded my peers with education, and now I want to teach others. So there are 3 main things that I used to say. I'd like to just go through them and negate each one of them with facts. And I have to say, it is a lot easier at first for someone who is so far stuck in their ways to open up and change their opinions once they've been given irrefutable facts to prove their wrongness. Topic 1, white privilege. Yes, I know, it's crazy. I didn't believe in white privilege. In fact, I would get the most angry when someone brought up affirmative action. Why the hell would a Spanish kid get into a school before I did if they made worse grades than me? Well past, Leah. I will tell you why. Just because I'm a white person means that I get special treatment. I have a privilege. I chose 10 statements from a list of 50 by Peggy McIntosh to highlight here that proves white privilege in an astounding way. 1. I can go shopping alone most of the time, pretty well assured that I will not be followed or harassed. 2. I can turn on the television or open to the front page of the newspaper and see people of my race widely represented. 3. When I am told about our national heritage or about civilization, I am shown that people of my color made it what it is. 4. I will not have to educate my children to be aware of systematic racism for their own daily physical protection. 5. I can do well in a challenging situation without being called a credit to my race. 6. I can remain oblivious of the language and customs of persons of color who constitute the world's majority without feeling in my culture any penalty for such oblivion. 7. I can be pretty sure that if I ask to talk to the person in charge, I will be facing a person of my race. 8. I can easily buy posters, postcards, picture books, greeting cards, dolls, toys, and children's magazines featuring people of my race. 9. I can choose blemish cover or bandages in flesh color that have them more or less match my skin. 10. I will feel welcomed and normal in the usual walks of public life, institutional and social. And for me, all of these things are true. I imagined if they weren't, and it just makes me really upset, obviously. I mean, since I never even had to think about these things before, this just proves that I have so much privilege that I used to completely negate. Now that I know that this list does go on and on, white privilege is a basis to a serious issue in America. However, with acknowledgement of it, I feel like I have made a tremendous step. Okay, topic 2. Incarceration and racial profiling. I used to think that black people whine too much about being put in jail. I used to think Spanish people should stop crossing into our country. I used to think that brown people were too sensitive about racial profiling, or that Native Americans were too sensitive about school mascots. I said things about how the airport security was only taking precautions for the general safety of everyone, and that this very ideal actually comes from a law, the social contract, that started this country. However, a similar type of policy, an immigration policy in Arizona, stated that police officers would be able to ask random people to show their green cards, basically legalizing racial profiling. This is an example of how institutionalized racism that goes on in America. Here are a bunch more that don't even cover close to as many as there are, but does a good job of just debunking the ideas I had or anyone else that may have today about race. 1. While people of color make up about 30% of the United States population, they account for 60% of those imprisoned. 2. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, 1 in 3 black men can expect to go to prison in their lifetime. 3. Students of color face harsher punishments in school than their white peers, leading to a higher number of youth of color incarcerated. Currently, African Americans make up 2/5 and Hispanics 1/5 of confined youth today. 4. According to the Human Rights Watch, people of color are no more likely to use or sell illegal drugs than whites, but they have higher rate of arrests. African Americans comprise 14% of regular drug users, but are 37% of those arrested for drug offenses. My mom talked with a man at work who shared his experiences.
Well, most recently, in 2014 and 2013, I was walking to work in Wilmette at Bedford Temple, and the cops followed me twice each year. So that happened then. Then when I was younger, if I came to Wilmette, the police would stop us and say, we're stealing bikes, blah, 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 stuff like that. So it's basically just because I was black. It's not.
So you're from?
I'm from Evanston, but you would think me being from Evanston, I would get treated some kind of, at least lenient, but no, they treat me like I was from the south side of Chicago or something like that.
And when they stop you, what kind of questions do they ask?
What am I doing here? Who do I know that lives in Wilmette? Why am I here? I could be out just walking, Evanston is not that far from Wilmette, so, but that's what I went through.
No one is being too sensitive, as I used to say. They have legitimate reasons to complain. The blatant discrepancies in the numbers are nothing to argue against. And Derek's story is heartbreaking. And anyone who actually educates themselves will really quickly realize this. Topic 3. Cultural competence. I used to take a colorblind approach to racism. I figured that if we pretended race didn't exist, that it would eventually go away. I'm really surprised that this was a legitimate thought of mine looking back. You may not brush things under the rug until they just go away. Additionally, I truly believed I wasn't racist before. Laugh all you want, but I was all gung-ho about joining the Harper Leadership Academy last year that connected an all-white school, New Trier, with one on the south side of Chicago that was all black. I also have lots of friends of many races and whatever, but here's the final line. I was born into the dominant race in America, and to make a true commitment to combat racism, there are a slew of things that I should be aggressively and actively doing. 1. Have I aggressively sought out more information in an effort to enhance my own awareness and understanding of racism? 2. Have I spent some time recently looking at my own racist attitudes and behaviors as they contribute to or combat to racism around and within me? 3. Have I been investigating and evaluating political candidates, textbooks, assemblies, faculty, staff, administration, school curriculum, etc. on the issues of racism? 4. Have I subscribed to a publication which will educate me in the areas of a culture other than my own? 5. Have I shared the lead with those of color on projects or business ventures? These are a very small few for the monstrous amount of things that one may do and should do to be a culturally competent human being. And now I know that being culturally competent extends into my life every day, and it's something that I will work on forever. In 5 weeks, I am a new person, honestly. I've learned so much, and I'm so thankful to have a new perspective on what race relations are like in America and what it means for me as a white person. I am very adamant now that people who thought like I did before seriously be educated on the facts of the situation. I am really embarrassed to have been so in the dark and confused on these issues and want to help those who aren't so comfortable with their own opinions still. Race is prevalent every day, everywhere you go. So it is inconceivable that I would continue on in my life without having this revelation finally. I think I was almost forced into having one, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think more students should be forced like I was. Now that I do understand what's going on, and I have this right mindset, I want to work to combat racism and my preconceived racial prejudices that I know I have. I also know that this step won't take place overnight, but half of the step is owning up to your problem. For the rest of my life, I will work at this and try to also help in my own way by being a white ally. I can do this in many ways. For starters, presently I will be working on my cultural competence and the continued realizations of race in my life and in the world around me.